following program is rated G. It is suitable for all audiences.
In the headlines, moral development, pre-conventional morality, stage 1 and stage 2. Moral development, conventional morality, stage 3 and stage 4. And moral development, post-conventional morality, stage 5 and 6.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Good morning, Philippines! I am John Mark Monton, your uncle. Moral development of Lawrence Kohlberg was broken down into 3 levels with 2 stages. He believed that not everyone progressed to the highest stages of moral development. This was the earliest period, and the children's decisions are primarily shaped by expectation of adults and consequences for breaking the rules. There's 2 stages in this moral development. First is the obedience and punishment. Will be reported by Miss Jeka. Miss Jeka, still there?
Audio Jungle.
Yes, thank you, Sir John Mark. During this stage, it emphasized about the morality of a person on how they perceive judgment based on obedience and punishment. At this stage, children are trying to do their best to get approval and compliments from the adults without being punished. It was said to be obedient could lead a person to avoid punishment. People at this stage see rules fixed and absolute, and also children's decisions are fixed by the adults based on their expectations. And that way, they became more responsible as a person. Also, it creates a big foundation to their personality and their later age. Children's decisions are primarily shaped by the expectations of adults and the consequences for breaking the rules. Here, children are wishing and aiming for the approval of the adults, and also they are aiming to be more responsible individuals. Obeying is quite hard for us, or for the most of us, especially for the adolescents, because just like toddlers, we're aiming to do some things that we haven't done yet, even though it is restricted by our parents. We always tend to do some things that our parents don't like us to do. That's why we are being punished. And they also said that obedience must come first, because if you obey the rules, you became a good example to other individuals. And then, being obedient could also lead for being respectful and being a responsible person. It was said that you have to obey your family, especially to your parents. It was said that we have to obey our family, especially our parents, because our parents would make us do something that could harm us. It could lead us to be better, and it could help us to build a better future. And it is also obviously seen in our society, while the majority of the parents restricted their child, and their child would always keep on disobeying it, that's why they get punishment. Let's say, for example, when a kid are restricted to go to the rivers, but also the child's always wanted to go and disobey, and they won't realize that disobeying could lead them in danger until it happens to them. And as we all know, that regrets won't take a child's life back again. Punishment are not intentionally to hurt kids or to hurt us, but it is just a lesson, or it is just help us to learn our lessons and help us to correct our actions. Punishment has 2 reasons. First is to teach us a lesson, and second is to correct us from our action.
I'll be showing you an example. Why should we obey our parents? It was said that we always have to obey our parents because they are part of our life. God is very pleased when you obey the people who take care of you. If we obey and love our parents and our family, we know it pleases God when we listen to and respect our parents. Here, we should think about the chores that they do for us, and we should always consider on how they are doing their best, or maybe your dad prepares meals for you to stay healthy and never get starved. And also your dad is going to groceries that everybody needs to work hard and do their best to keep a household running smoothly. And also in a house, doing your homework or helping with yard works are ways to do your part. When you're also socializing with people, you can be sure that there was a lot of listening and respect. And it's obviously seen that you have a very good personality. An obedient child have more wisdom and experience than you do. They are now slowly building their personalities to be good as a person. Based on the Bible, it was said that my child, obey the teachings of your parents and wear their teachings as you would pretty had a lovely necklace. So always keep in mind that the lessons that God and our parents teaches us are valuable and we should treasure them all our lives. The love that our parents showing us and giving us are very valuable. And also, God told us to honor our father and mother because they are the one who took good care of us since we are young. Also, always to remember and consider the God's love because He knows what's best for us. Obeying our parents is just like we're obeying God because it is part of His rules or His commandments. And that's all.
Thank you. Back to you, Sir John Mark.
Thank you, Miss Jekka. This level wouldn't be completed without the second stage, the individualism and exchange. Miss Liza, come on in.
Yes, I'm in, Mr. John Mark. Have a good day and thank you. Lawrence Kohlberg classified reasoning into the stages of moral development. At the second stage of moral development, which is individualism and exchange, children account for individual point of view for each matter and judge actions based on what individual needs. Each person is different and therefore have a unique outlook according to their interests.
In the Heinz dilemma or problem, in the scenario, his wife has a cancer, and the doctor believed that only one drug can save his wife. The drug that might save his wife had been discovered by a local pharmacist. The pharmacist owned all rights to this medication and decided to sell it at a high markup in order to make a big profit. While it cost only $200 to make, he sold it for 10 times that amount of $2,000. Heinz did not have enough money to pay the exorbitant price, so he tried fundraising to cover the cost. With time running out, he had only managed to gather $1,000, which was not enough to buy the medication that can cure his wife. He tried to negotiate with the pharmacist for a lower price or to be extended credit to pay it over time. But the pharmacist refused to sell it for any less or to accept partial payments. Desperate and running out of time, Heinz broke into the pharmacy after hours and stole the drug to save his wife. In connection to the scenario, Heinz should not steal the medication from the pharmacy because there is a big possibility that he may go to jail if he is caught, even if he has a reason why he does such a thing. What he has already done is against the law, and whoever violated the law or rules will get the punishment at the end of the day. And this is the best example of stage 1. But when we say moral development is stage 2, from the individual's point of view, according to Kohlberg, the judgment of the said action should be based on what the individual needs. However, it should also recognize that there are multiple points of view in every situation. For instance, from the given scenario, Heinz may think that it is right to take the drug or medication since the pharmacist is heartless and didn't show any sympathy for his sad situation. The pharmacist didn't even accept the partial payments even though he would already achieve such a big profit if he accepted the $1,000 from Heinz.
According to Kohlberg, children argued that the best course of action was the choice that best serves Heinz' needs. Some may judge and consider Heinz' action to be right because it has a valid reason for him, but the pharmacist would not, and the pharmacist would regard it as a wrongdoing. That's all for stage 2. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. John Marr.
In this level, we're supposed to understand the abstract principle of morality, the conventional morality. Conventional morality has two stages. First, namely, social contract and individual rights. Go, and got this, Mr. Jandre.
Audio Jungle.
Roger that, Mr. John Mark. Thank you. So we are now in level 2, which is conventional morality. This level, there have two stages, which are good interpersonal relationship and maintaining social. For you to understand, I will explain to you what is good interpersonal relationship by KOHLBERG theory. So this stage recognizes the desire to be accepted into societal groups as well as how each is affected by the outcome. This stage, the expectation of others, they see morality as more than simple deeds. They were able to understand what is expected from them by their parents, peers, instructor, and others. The reason why they try to be a good boy or a good girl, to live up to these expectations, having learned that there is inherent value in doing so. So to have a good behavior, one must have their good motives and to do good for the sake of the society. Teenagers are usually around the stage of morality, where they see it as more than just a simple dance. They gain the belief that people should behave in a good or decent way, living up their potential and expectation of their community and families. Their motives should be good, and they should gain interpersonal feelings like love, concern, empathy, and trust for others.
For example, similar to Heinz's dilemma, Aladdin food crisis involves both sides of a moral issue. Aladdin and his monkey Abu are starving and need food to survive, so unfortunately, most of the merchants in his town are not willing to freely give food to him, so he resorts to stealing. The guard then uses physical force and attempt to harm Aladdin in order to do out his deserved punishment. So people at this stage will most likely view Aladdin as the good guy because he is trying to save Abu's life as well as his own. The same people will also look at the guards in a negative way, viewing them as the wrongdoers because of their attacks on his over a loaf of bread and an apple.
In KOHLBERG's study, per the example while ago, they accepted that he should steal the food and he was a good man for wanting to save his monkey. They also reasoned that his intentions were good, that of saving the life of his monkey. So that's all about good interpersonal relationship. Back to you, Mr. John Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Jandre. These cues will be right back for a few seconds.
Audio Jungle.
Hey, in case no one told you this today, you matter. You're important. And you are enough. So stop comparing yourself to other people. Just because other people look like they're doing better than you, doesn't mean that they are in any way better than you. There's no one like you in this world. You are one of a kind. You're amazing. And I hope that you remember that.
Quit, don't quit. Noodles, don't noodles. You are too concerned with what was and what will be. There's a saying, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That is why it is called the present.
Hello again, Philippines! To continue, this stage focuses in ensuring the order. To deeply understand this stage, Miss Catherine, hello.
Thank you, Mr. Junmore. According to Lawrence Kohlberg's fourth stage, maintaining social order shows the moral development of a person as a part of a whole society. People becomes more aware of the impact of everyone's actions on others and focuses now on their own rule, following the rules, doing one's duty, and respecting authority. While Stage 3 highlights the relationship with family and friends, Stage 4 attempts to maintain social order in the community. In this viral video, a father was asking passersby outside the hospital for donations on behalf of his daughter who is ill, despite the fact that beggars are against the law.
Kasi first time ko pong gagawin to, sir, para lang po talaga.
Ilan taon na ba yung anak mo?
6 years old na po, sir. Nag-aaral na po yung anak ko. Sinuggest po ng doktor kung may pera daw po kami sa Mount Carmel po.
Okay.
Kaso ginawa na lang po namin, sir, nangiram na lang po kami ng nebulizer po, yung machine po.
According to Attorney Gab Concepcion, Presidential Decree Number 1563 or Anti-Mendicancy Law with the aim of eliminating beggars, for adult beggars who are able-bodied and able to work but prefer to beg, there is a fine of 500 pesos and 2 years in prison based on court's decision. Pertaining to the example video, participants in Stage 4 would argue, while they understood why the father was begging money for a sick daughter, the law could not support the beggars. Society cannot maintain order if its member decided to break the laws, when they thought they had a good enough reason to do so. Therefore, it is important to obey laws and social conventions because of their importance in maintaining a functioning society. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Junmore.
This level of development makes people develop their understanding in abstract principle of morality, post-conventional morality. This level of morality also have two stages, the social contract and individual rights. Back to you again, Miss Jeka.
Yes, thank you, Sir John Mark. Here on the Stage 5, it is about social contract and individual rights. People at this stage account for the differing values, beliefs, and opinions of each other. Rules of law are important for maintaining a society. But members of the society must agree upon the standards. We people have different perspectives in life in terms of beliefs, opinions, and also in our values as a person. Well, in this stage, it is about how a person deals with its own personality and also differences with every individual, and how we're going to understand and also to accept others' opinions on the way they deliver their own ideas for that particular topic or particular problem. It is also a human right that is capable for every individual. Let's say, for example, that every individual has the right of speech, that they have the right to talk or to give their own ideas so that our society could improve or they could give their ideas on how they could help our society. Through this kind of human rights, it enables us to express ourselves, to express our ideas, and also to help our community to improve and to be a better community. It is also beneficial not for ourselves, but also beneficial for every citizens and for our society. It is very beneficial because it could make us become a better community. This kind of human rights is implemented to value every individual's rights and also to value every individual's ideas. Every person has a right of speech and they can be able to express themselves in so many ways. But also it is not just about giving your ideas, but you also have to be more responsible on what you ever say, because as we all know that whatever you say will never be taken back again. So whatever you say, you must take responsible to it and accept every consequences after you've done that. Every person's ideas and opinions is not just something, but it could also help to build a better nation. Also, in connection with that, being a person who could give their own speech must be also not a close-minded person. You must be an open-minded person so you could be able to understand others' opinions also, so that we could build a better plan. You must be responsible to whatever you say, and you have to watch your mouth whatever you say. Because there's a lot of tendencies that if you say something wrong, it could lead to a big argument. That you have to watch every lines that you're going to say. You have to think it very wisely, and you have to observe what is really needed for you to give your opinion. Because giving your opinion has two sides. It might lead to a better plan, or maybe it could lead to a very big argument. So when you give your speech, you have to be more responsible. And always remember that when you're trying to raise your voice, you have to investigate and also to observe what is the right thing to say. Always remember that you should not be reckless to whatever you share and whatever you say. Whenever you give your ideas, you always have to see and always look for the possibilities that might interact you. Many people might disagree or agree about your opinions, but you always have to remember that you must be ready whatever they say upon you. And now, I'll be showing you an example of this kind of stage. So I'll be showing you an example of how every individual could give their freedom of speech and how important it is, especially to all of us. The video that I'm going to present to you is about the democracy in US. Because an example of human rights or individual rights is about the freedom of speech, that every one of us has the right to give our own opinions based on our observations in our society. So pay attention and now listen to the video.
The First Amendment gives Americans 5 basic freedoms: freedom of speech, press, petition, assembly, and religion. While all 5 are important, perhaps freedom of speech is talked about the most. Free speech is the cornerstone of our democracy. Although what you say can have consequences, like losing friends or a job, it gives Americans the right to express opinions without government censorship or control. And more importantly, you can't go to jail for expressing your opinion. It not only protects the speech that people like, but speech that people don't. Because when it comes to free speech, either everyone is protected or no one is at all. It allows citizens to support political movements and candidates. It gives people the power to call out government corruption and abuse. And most importantly, it empowers people to give unpopular opinions. The civil rights movement is a perfect example of free speech in action. During the 1950s and 60s, civil rights activists such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. were able to use free speech as a tool to force change within society. By exercising their voice, civil rights activists were able to outlaw racial discrimination that plagued the nation. But in today's politically charged climate, some people believe the government should restrict certain speech. But thankfully, because of the First Amendment, everything from car commercials to fiery protests are protected.
And lastly, this stage was based on universal ethical principles and abstract reasoning. Calling on again Mr. John Lee. Hello?
So thank you once again, Mr. John Mark. The last stage of KOHLBERG theory is about universal principle. At this stage, people follow this internalized principle of justice, even if they conflict with the laws and rules. Means that people at this stage have developed their own set of moral guidelines, which we are not fit with the law.
For example, of what happened in Heinz' dilemma story. Heinz stole the medicine for the sake of his wife. Even that it's prohibited in the law, and can cause him go into prison. He follow his own principle even if it conflict with the laws and rules.
The final stage of Kohlberg theory states that moral reasoning is based on personal values. In the above example, it is okay for the man to take the medicine without paying as object or property are not available of his wife's life. So stage 6 was developed when Kohlberg discovered that elective processes do not always result in fair outcomes. Individual at the fifth stage of moral reasoning recognized the importance of protecting human rights while also resolving challenges in a democratic way. So unfortunately, some majority votes resulted in regulations that actually hurt a majority group, leading to questions of an even higher level of reasoning. And that's all about the last stage of Kohlberg theory. Back to you, Mr. Julmar. Mr. Julmar, back to you.
His theory of moral development was dependent on the thinking of the Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget and the American philosopher John Dewey. He was also inspired by James Mark Baldwin. This man had emphasized that human beings develop philosophically and psychologically in a progressive fashion. Kohlberg believed and was able to demonstrate through studies that people progress in their moral reasoning through a series of stages. He believed that there were 6 identifiable stages which could be more generally classified into 3 levels. Kohlberg believed that individuals could only progress through these stages one stage at a time. That is, they could not jump stages. They could only come to a comprehension of a moral rational one stage above their own. Thus, according to Kohlberg, it was important to present them with moral dilemmas for discussion, which would help them to see the reasonableness of a higher stage morality and encourage their development in that direction.
Kohlberg focuses on the thinking process that occurs when deciding whether a behavior is right or wrong. Thus, the theory emphasis is on how one decides to respond to a moral dilemma, not what one decides or what one actually does. Again, I am John Marby Munton, your anchor, and this is Lawrence Kohlberg Moral News. Banakay sila moral development of Lawrence Kohlberg was broken down into Thank you, Miss Jeka. This level wouldn't be completed.
Yes, I'm in Mr. John Mar. Have a good day and thank you. Therefore, ano? Ay, salamat.
Kulit biyaan.
Ay, nako na.
Oh.
Sige lang. I see. Absolute. And the children's decisions are primarily shaped by the adults and become more responsible adults as the time goes by. Balik restricted them. And this is... Asa naman ko? Balik-balik na ko. Asa? 1, 2, 3, go. Asa, balik.
Stage maintaining social order. Beggars are against for adult tabang. Sige, man.
So thank you, Sir John Mar. So we are now level 2. Teenagers are usually around this stage of morality, where they see it as more than just a stimulus.
Kitang-kita ko rin ang saya sa'yo. kung bakit may pitang hawak ko.